David, thanks for joining me, coming down and sitting down and having a talk today.
It's my pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
Me too. It's been a minute that we've been trying to put this together.
It
We've been
has.
busy. You've been really busy.
Yeah, which is wonderful. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, we appreciate the business. And David came to us a while back, and we've been doing some work for you and running some ads. And we had a little challenging time at the beginning, kind of helping you out with where you were at. But it was a good challenge.
Yes, and it's worked out very well.
It's worked out well. That's the relationships, right? That
Yes.
we build, you build with your clients, and that, like, to have a successful business and relationships, you got to communicate. You got to know what the other person needs and wants and helping them out, right? And I think you do that every day.
It's critical for what we need to do, and the communication's been fantastic.
Cool. And so give us a little background on you. Like, I don't know how far back you want to go, but I mean, choosing to be a lawyer or be where you're at now and some of the stuff you've done previously, like where do you think you started to be like, I want to go into this type of an ecosystem, because like you've done many faceted things within what you're doing, right? So give me a little history on who you are and what you've done.
Well, I was in college and working at UPS, night shift.
Okay.
And when I finished college, I stayed at UPS for a while.
Gotcha.
And I think I was there probably 10 years, 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Worked my way up into management and so forth, but just realized that wasn't what I wanted to do. It was kind of boring. And my sister lives in Chicago, and she does jury selection, focus groups, things like that.
Yeah.
And so I talked to her a few times, obviously, and I thought I'd like to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
And so I walked away from UPS, went to law school, and I'm really glad I made that decision.
So how old were you then when you kind of made that decision?
I think I was around 30, 31 years
Wow.
old. So I'd already had kind of a first career.
But wasn't your North Star to like kind of begin with or anything, right? You kind of.
No, it wasn't really.
That's crazy.
It really wasn't at all. But I just got more. I think when I decided to go to law school, and that was around the time of the OJ trial.
Oh, wow.
And so, of course, that was extremely popular, and everybody was watching that, and it was still happening my first year of law school.
A lot of controversy around that, and probably a huge topic and what was going on, huh?
I think it captured a lot of people's attention.
Sure.
I don't think a lot of mainstream people really realize what happens in a trial, especially something like that.
Right.
So it drew a lot of attention. I think registration in law schools jumped quite a bit
During that time.
So, but that was my thing. I decided I wanted to go to law school, and then when I graduated from law school, came here to Colorado Springs, had an uncle who was here, and he was working, I think, at the Attorney General's office at the time.
Yeah.
And he put me in contact with the district attorney's office, and I interned with them for no money.
Not a paid internship.
Wife, kids, no money, and interned. So that was a little bit of a rough patch for the family.
Sure.
But then as soon as I passed the bar exam, they hired me immediately.
So how is the bar exam? Like, you hear about it, you see it in movies, it's kind of a thing, right?
It's horrible. I think if someone said I had to do that again, I just quit.
Really?
I just wouldn't do it again.
Like, it's such a hump to get over, huh?
It is. It is really difficult.
Wow.
And they just questions that just mess with you.
Mm-hmm. Like trick kind of questions, or just like...
They're not trick questions.
Yeah.
They're just that there's no black and white answers for a lot of the essays. You have to kind of think outside the box.
In a world that you would hope would be more black and white.
Correct.
It isn't.
Yeah, you would think it's just black and white. It's the law, but it's not. It's gray.
Yeah.
And but I think that's also what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But the bar exam, no, I would not want to do that again.
Do not recommend.
No. No.
So kind of what happened there after you got, after you passed, and what would your kind of initial job look like there?
Well, what I did was I took over a division, which is kind of what you do when you're a DA's office. You get assigned a certain courtroom in front of a judge, and you get a caseload, and you just start working through your cases. And I did that in a couple of different courtrooms for about a year or so, and then I moved into a supervisory role and started training all of the new DAs and overseeing all of them in the county court, misdemeanor court.
Right.
So I did that for a couple of more years. And then I moved into district court, handling all the felony cases. Um, did just about every kind of case there that you can
Saw a little bit
imagine,
of everything, right?
homicides, all sorts of cases. And I did that for a while, but I knew I didn't want to stay at the DA's office forever. It was more of a training ground than anything. I had a
Sure.
lot of trial experience, and then I left the DA's office after a little over 4 years, close to 5 years, and went into private practice.
Yep. So what made you choose like the private practice that you have, like more of the felony cases and the, the really some of the bad cases that people find themselves in? Like what kind of attracted you to that ecosystem? And because like personal injury or felony cases and different things that people specialize in, why do you think you went that direction?
Well, I think obviously being in the district attorney's office, I was very familiar with the criminal law.
Yeah.
And so that seemed like a logical move. And then I wanted to get into some civil work, which I did. I started doing some civil stuff initially, but it's a very different thing. Civil cases, you get a civil case, and it may not settle. You may not realize any money
Yeah.
for a year or two, sometimes longer.
Yeah.
So the criminal stuff really paid the bills, and it was taking off and doing very well.
Yeah.
Um, and I just kind of lost patience with the civil part of
I
it
see.
after a few years and focused mainly on the criminal stuff.
It takes each person and what they're willing to endure or want to deal with, right?
Yeah. And you have a family and stuff, and
Yeah.
and actually I like it. It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
Everything is different. It's every new case is a little bit different from the last one, and it's fascinating.
Yeah. It's never a dull moment.
No.
Always an interesting, uncovering,
Yeah.
understanding, doing a lot of research and due
Yeah.
diligence and different things like that, right?
And just interacting with people,
Yeah.
and then the courtrooms and going in and you help people. So I really, really enjoy that part, and I always have. It's people coming in with problems, all walks of life. Some people have been in trouble before, some haven't. They're new to the system. They're looking at some pretty grave circumstances. So it's nice to help people work through that in their lives.
Yeah.
Kind of help them get back on track if we can.
Yeah, no one like you may not know the phone call you get tomorrow, right? And then if you have a great interaction with that person, you believe you can help them. They think that you both ways, right? You can help them.
Mhm.
They can come to you and get help. Then you start this kind of journey with them to kind of unravel and understand their options and things like that, right?
Yeah, and it's really enjoyable because a lot of people make some bad decisions. Everybody does, and it has some pretty significant consequences for some people. And it's nice to help them get them back on track. It's obviously very rewarding, and you learn a lot dealing with people. It's a never-ending surprise.
What do you think, you say that like you learn a lot dealing with people. What are some of the things that you kind of look for or that are your triggering moments that you're kind of like, I need to look into that a little bit more, or that you've kind of looked for, there's something more here, or we need to find out more about them that you've kind of navigated and
Well,
negotiated?
it's always like that. I mean, you talk them people initially, and you get a little bit of the facts and a little bit of the background and stuff, but you really have to dive into it and get a little bit more because it's not just getting a case, getting into the courtroom, and getting out of it, but you also want to be finding out as much as you can about them and their lives so that they don't repeat it and they don't come back. Um, as an attorney, if you can do that and you can help somebody not to come back to the criminal system, then you've really done a good job.
That's the ultimate goal, right? I
Yeah.
mean, for not only you and them, but for the system in general, is to hopefully change their pattern and hopefully put them on a different path, right?
Right, and I think a lot of people look at criminal defense attorneys and they think, they're just using and doing everything they can to get them out of trouble.
The least amount of trouble, or
Correct.
yeah,
And that's true. You definitely do that, but the added level is to try to make sure they don't come back again if you can. So,
and if somebody doesn't really understand what a criminal defense attorney does or who your main cases are, what are we thinking when we say that?
well, mostly felony stuff. People get themselves in some trouble. They get charged with a felony,
Yeah.
and they're potentially looking at a prison sentence because in the criminal system they take your liberty. They can take your liberty. They can
Mm-hmm.
take your freedom from you. So that's extremely important. It's high stakes. Civil cases, yeah, you're dealing with money, a lot of money, but it doesn't compare to somebody that could be
Losing freedom.
losing their freedom and being locked up in a jail cell. That's
And having something that is on your record or that could affect everything you do for the rest of your life.
and it does. It has a huge impact on their lives, their families, everything. And so it's extremely important. You got to be careful and got to do a good job for them.
And I think, getting to know kind of you and some of the cases you work with and how some of that comes to you and stuff, a lot of it can be family trying to help somebody else in their family, right? People
Oh, yeah.
that,
Very often it's a family member calling on behalf of the person, and they kind of give you a little bit of the background and how they lost their way and what's going on, whether it's drugs or finances or some mental health issues, those kind of things.
yeah.
And then you can help to determine what's going to be the best path going forward for them.
And how do you think you navigate that? Or you kind of probably have different pathways, right? Like, so you just kind of get that information, probably
just-
meet with the person even to kind of
Oh, yeah.
understand from them, right?
Yeah, usually a family member's calling, then you get hired, and then you meet with the client and you go through everything, and then you have to take a look at the evidence and see what the other side is saying and what the allegations are. It's extremely important to get both sides of every story because when you start out on a case and you look at just the evidence and the probable cause affidavit, it's skewed in the light most favorable to the prosecution. So then you got to get the other side and you got to do some work and you got to do some investigation to find out what's really going on.
It's super interesting that just this moment of something happening that starts this just fluid fall of information and things that we have to do and undo or try to save from having to happen and stuff like that.
And it's just fascinating. Like I've said, it's fascinating work. And when you're dealing with people, I mean, I've seen things, heard things, talked to people, and um, it's just fascinating what human beings think and why they do the things they do. And
Massive
there's
psychology.
nothing like it. Yeah, massive psychology. It really is.
Once you think you got it figured out.
I've learned more about people than you can even imagine. I mean, and now having done it, almost 27 years,
Yeah.
people come in and within just a few minutes, I have a pretty good idea of what's going on and how they got there and what we're going to do.
Yeah.
I'm a young attorney. It takes them a little bit of time to kind of figure all of that out, but I have a pretty good idea pretty quick.
You only know the games you've played, and when the more and more games you've played, then like you understand the different scenarios you're in, and
Yes.
you, as a lawyer, that's why choosing somebody that has more scenarios in their mind or how they've navigated different situations, right?
Absolutely, because I know many different options that I can take in a specific case and how to present it and how to appeal to the prosecutor who's handling the case.
Yeah.
If you present it in a certain way, then it's a little bit more palatable for the prosecutor to work with you. And obviously integrity and being honest and straightforward is immensely important. Because if you have a good reputation, it makes all the difference in the world.
So let's talk about while you're helping somebody, you're also trying to negotiate the other side,
Yes.
right? And if the person has done something wrong, the other side may want all the justice.
Right.
And you're trying to navigate the least amount for the person within whatever their situation is.
Yeah, because there's obviously, victims of crimes.
Yeah.
And they have their view, and rightfully so. And so you have to kind of respect that and try to fashion something that's going to, help them deal with it in the long run,
Yes.
as well as your client. And that's a balance that you have to try to find on the cases. And if you can, it makes a big difference. So we often have our clients go out and, do classes and get involved in some mental health treatment or substance abuse treatment, all of those kind of things, getting out in front of it.
Trying to be proactive
Yeah,
instead
kind
of
of be
reactive.
proactive. And it makes a big difference because it shows that the client actually cares about what's going on and wants to change things.
And then how do you present that to the other side then? They're like, hey, this person's doing these things and
Yep, that's exactly what you do.
yeah.
You get them enrolled in things and get them going on it. And then when you talk with the prosecution and you let them know the client's taking this seriously and doing the following things, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, because you're talking to the prosecution, and so are they on the other side. So it's kind of this like middle communicator that you're having to kind of talk to because you can't talk directly, right? I mean,
Right. As a prosecutor, there's a victims' rights statute, and so you have to communicate with the victims of a crime,
hmm
whether it's a business or a family. You have to communicate with them, kind of get an idea of what they want to see the outcome of the case. And as a prosecutor, it's make your victim whole. You got to try to restore as much as you can.
mm,
And so I know what the prosecutors are looking for, and I know what they have to deal with. So then when I have my clients come in, we're looking at things from that perspective, which is extremely helpful and beneficial.
yeah, but also probably pretty hard at times to be like,
It is.
how do we make them feel better about something that they feel they've been wronged or have been wronged, and then trying to make that situation as least bad, I guess, as possible.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some cases where you can't fix it.
Yeah,
I mean, you just can't, and you have to understand that, and you have to be respectful, especially in the courtroom, because the victims always get to speak and say what's on their mind, and you have to respect that, and we do.
so let's pivot a little bit to, because of all of this, right? You're also in business, so you're also having to manage and build a business around this. All
Yes,
these things you have to worry about, and then also you're like, okay, but now I got to make a business around it.
right.
So, as if another, like, say, lawyers listening to this, or just somebody that might be fascinated, what do you think some of your, like, the difficult things and maybe easier things, like supply and demand or competition or whatever's going on? Like, what do you think, what are some of the enjoyable parts about running your business, maybe? And then maybe we'll talk about the not so enjoyable things.
It was kind of interesting. I started, I think it was 2001 was when I first started, and I went and worked with an attorney that was kind of on his way out, and he was
hmm
retiring, and so I jumped in to help him, knowing full well I wanted to be on my own at some point. But I was helping him, and at the time, it's funny, phone books
hmm
were the big thing,
Yeah.
and you had to be able to afford the yellow pages,
The bigger spot in the yellow
and you
pages.
had to try to figure out. And there were attorneys that were doing things like AAA law, so they could get in the front of the
Yeah.
phone. But it was an interesting game at the time,
Yeah.
and it was relatively expensive for a new attorney starting out. So I started with somebody else, um, and then it was kind of funny. Um, Websites and the internet were becoming very important to marketing,
Yeah.
and I talked with a company, Find Law, I think was the original company I talked to back then.
Yeah.
And I took a leap. No one was doing it at that time in our area.
Yeah.
And so I got a website and got going on that, and it changed everything. But I think somebody starting out, you really have to understand how important the marketing is. Word of mouth is wonderful, but when you're first starting out, there just isn't word of mouth. So you've got to have a way um, to do some marketing and get your name out there and get clients.
Yeah. Well, and you're constantly turning clients.
You have to.
It's
Yeah,
constant flow.
you have to. It's like any other business. You have to have clients that you can help to pay your bills and keep the lights on. And it's a big aspect of running your own practice. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm on my phone constantly. I'm constantly thinking about clients, the business, paying the bills, keeping the doors on, and doing a good job and making people happy.
Yeah.
It's a constant 24/7 thing.
Keeping your reputation up.
Yeah.
And like,
I mean, even on the weekends, like I tell clients, I'll call and I'll say, "Oh, this is my business cell number. I've got my phone with me 24/7 like anybody." And I think you have to do that these days.
especially in the things you're into, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're in some of the worst cases, and some of those things can change at a moment's notice. New things come up, new, data or is found or brought to your attention, or if something else happens in conjunction with it or whatever, and it's like, holy cow, this changes potentially everything in a case or whatever.
It is. And you have to keep up on all of it. You got to keep up on the case law. You got to keep up on the new legislature, the new laws, and you got to stay on top of everything. You have employees. You got to make sure the employees are doing
Yeah.
well. And if somebody calls in sick or something happens, you got to be able to cover all of it.
You really
For,
can't make a mistake.
no,
Like,
it, you, it's it,
you pretty
it,
much have to have your dot your dot your I's, cross your T's, everything
Well,
you
and
do.
that's the thing is you've got to be thinking ahead of all of that so that you don't make those
Yeah.
mistakes. Um, and that's why, for somebody new starting, you really got to, make some friends, have some mentors, and there's a lot of that out there. I mean, the community's pretty good in terms of the lawyers helping the young lawyers. They're always really good about it,
Yeah.
and I do. I had a young guy ask me the other day and, sit down and go through everything with him and try to give him some good advice to get
Yeah.
started. But it would be difficult to get started these days. I think be very difficult. The
There's a lot of
competition,
competition,
yeah,
right?
the competition is pretty brutal.
In some of our meetings that we have, we reference kind of law firms and like roofing companies because the competition on a lot of the marketing is just crazy. The amount of money that's pumped in from those
Yeah.
ecosystems to try to get the job, right?
Yeah.
To get your name at the top, to get even a meeting, to get whatever. There's good money on the backside of it, but there's also a ton of money on the front side to even try to get
Yeah.
your name even in the realm of being talked about.
Yeah, I mean, you have to invest. But I think the nice thing about the internet and the websites and Google and some of those
Yeah.
things is a solo practitioner just starting out can actually compete.
They could make a dent,
Yeah.
right? If
It-
they're focused in enough or
Mhm.
want to learn enough, they could figure it out.
Yeah, and you get a couple of good calls and you help them.
Yeah.
Then it snowballs. It really does.
But that's the other side too. Like you only get so many at bats to be good, to
Yes.
deliver good, to do good by clients before your name is either high in reputation or low.
Hmm.
And then it's probably pretty hard if it's low to come back out of that. So that's probably a good thing. What you're talking about is, getting some experience or working with some people before trying to go on your own because that helps with the reputation. That helps with not making mistakes and having a bad, sight of your name or your business. Because a lot of lawyers, it's their name on the
Mhm.
door. It's not
Right.
just a brand. It's actually your name. So and you can't change that tomorrow.
Right. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, obviously.
Yeah.
If you don't do a good job or a client is unhappy, that gets put out on the internet
Mhm.
as well.
It goes both ways.
And you have to deal with it. So, you have good reviews and, if you're doing this for any length of time, you'll likely have some people that just weren't happy for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
Yeah, I'd say you gotta have some pretty thick skin in your business, right? Because
Yes.
even if you help somebody a lot, but you don't completely get them freed, or they still have to do time, or they still have to do certain things,
Mhm.
there's a varying amount of it went perfect to we did really good to it didn't quite go how we wanted to well, gosh dang it, that didn't go as well as we wanted at all.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
everybody kind of has their idea going into a case, and when it's done, what the outcome should be. And whether or not it's realistic is another question. But
exactly.
yeah, folks, they can have some anticipation and some expectations that you really have to talk to them
Trying
about.
to be very optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to control those expectations because any case is different. Well, I know somebody that got charged with a serious crime and walked away from it. And why do I have to go to prison? And every case is different, and you can't really compare those, even though it makes some logical sense. In the criminal system, it's pretty complicated, and one little factor can change everything.
Every case is like a snowflake. They're all
All
unique.
different, and you really got to talk. I mean, communicate. We talked about
Yeah.
communication before. You really got to be able to communicate.
So is that some of your stuff you go over in them initial meetings? Is kind of the expectations of realistic of if
Yes.
like if I crush it, this is really probably where we could get. But like anything can happen, right? But,
Right, and there's no guarantees. So
Yeah.
you let them know there's no guarantees. This is where I think it'll probably end up. This is how long I think it'll take. These are some of the things that we need to do. If we do all these things and everything comes together, then I think we can have a really good outcome.
Yeah.
And having done it so long, if there's a way, I know what it is and I'll find it. But it just sometimes it takes longer.
How long do most of your cases range?
It depends, but it's probably 2 to 3 months is most of them, maybe 4 months. And then if it goes the trial route, it's 6 to 9 months probably is before a case is resolved. I've had some cases that obviously take a year or two, but those are kind of exceptional circumstances. And of course, when we had COVID, it was a whole
slowed
different ball
everything.
game. Yeah,
Yeah, totally different timeline at that point.
totally different.
Uh, what about like those really long cases? Like, what is there still like day-to-day work, or is it a lot of waiting time that drags it out? Like this happened, and then we're waiting for this to come through, or
Well, I mean, initially clients have a lot of questions. What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen with the case? We have to get all the evidence,
yeah,
and we have to go through everything thoroughly, the case law, and that takes some time. So initially, a case, I call it front end loaded. It's a lot of work the first several months. Then once you've gotten most of that done and you've analyzed everything, you have a pretty good idea what you're dealing with, then it's kind of a waiting game because then the ball is in the prosecutor's court. What are they going to do? Are they going to be able to, come up with something that we can accept? And sometimes that takes a while. And I do tell clients times on our side, on the defense side, the prosecutor has to keep things together. And sometimes for them, it's like herding cats. When a case is new, everybody's ready to go. As time goes on, everybody kind of loses interest in it, depending on the type of case. But that's a strategy
when it's
as
fresh
well.
and harsh, then it's yeah.
Everybody's ready to go. But as time goes on, they kind of lose interest in it. And
Time heals a little
helps
bit.
Helps our side.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I think from the little I know on some of that stuff is right. You're always like kind of court dates and things. If you can buy a little time,
Yes.
it gives you a little bit more opportunity. Or for weirdly enough things to not land or happen, that gives you guys more opportunity to get outs and like use things to your advantage, right?
Yep. Anything can happen in a case, and for a prosecutor to put their case together, they have to have everybody present in the courtroom for a trial, and that's a lot easier said than done. And of course, I know that because I did it.
You've been on
so
the other side
know
of it, yeah.
What it takes to get there and the things that can happen.
So what do you think, like, your mindset shift from, like, being in prosecution to then also, like, where you're at now, what difference is the game that you play?
I think with a prosecutor, they have to actually put the case together. They have to have all their witnesses prepped and ready. They have to have all the evidence ready. They have to provide all of that. So they have a lot to do. It's their case. They're prosecuting the case. From the defense side, we get to sit back and make sure they're doing everything they're supposed to do. And so it's more of a waiting game. I know what they have to do. Did they do it? If they didn't do it, how can I capitalize on that?
So for a younger prosecutor, and you've done the job, you've been there, you know where you could not fail or like have mistakes or holes in it, right? Like that you could now utilize. So you're like, ooh, I would have done that differently, or oh, they should have done this here or there or whatever, right? And that gives you a lot of information and context to how you can navigate.
Right, and having done this so long and been a prosecutor, it's kind of like a chess game. I know when they start to make a certain move, I know where it's probably going to go, and I can be a few moves ahead.
Because you've already played the game.
Because I've already done it, yeah.
What was one more exciting than the other? Did you love one more than the other? Kind of on the the challenge, I guess, of it.
I enjoyed being a prosecutor.
Yeah,
it was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And you get a little bit more of the behind the scenes look at some stuff. But then again, as a defense attorney, you get some behind the scenes stuff and conversations with the clients and a lot of things that never really get revealed. So, I mean, I've heard some stories and had some conversations that
that's where
I'll
it
never
stayed
forget.
Right there. Yeah,
I'll never forget. So,
yeah. So
and of course, any of those conversations I can never disclose to anyone.
No, and that's part of the job, right? And I think that's what's really interesting with your line of work and some of the things that, like, I mean, we even have, Italy that works on the account stuff. She just like kind of has like, I wonder how that works or how that does. But, there's just things that sometimes have to go without saying, right?
Yeah. Literally how I cannot say it. So, and that's what, having done this so long, you go to a party or you go to a function or something, and you talk to people and interact with people from different walks of life. And you just kind of pick up on a lot of things, and you can see things that a lot of people typically wouldn't be able to see.
Or know things about certain situations or people or things, or just because of what they've done.
And everyone makes mistakes. I've represented other attorneys and judges and doctors and just about everybody.
It's crazy. So if you don't know, like David works on, what could be a pretty normal like DUI case. It's up to like a felony DUI and then even up to murder cases, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's quite a heavy thing to take on, right?
It is.
And being part of that.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility, but I enjoy it,
Yeah.
and I've done it so long I can jump right in and I know what to do and how to help people.
How about stress level?
It can be stressful, but
Yeah.
I try not to let it get to me. If you get emotional in a case and you have an emotional involvement in it, then it can be a real roller coaster. And so you just can't get invested emotionally in a case. You have to be an attorney. You have to look at the facts. You have to look at the evidence. There's obviously some issues that really get your compassion and some of your emotions going, but
Sure.
you cannot get emotionally vested in a case. You just can't do it. And I think the clients don't want you to. I mean, if people,
Even though they're super emotional about it,
correct,
they almost need you to be the like the rock.
right? Because what you think ought to happen and what realistically, factually in the courtroom
Yeah.
is going to happen can be worlds apart. And so as the attorney, you just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is stressful because, like you said before, you have the legal portion of it, the clients, and the courtroom, but then you have the business side of it as well.
Yeah. And I think, knowing you and kind of your situations is working with family or kind of growing it to be more than just you or staying as just you. Obviously, you have support staff and stuff like that, right? But
Yeah.
like some of these big law firms, they try to house as many lawyers inside of it as they can. And you're right there in this taking on the same cases in the same courtrooms, but you're not trying to have, 10 other lawyers inside of your company, right?
Right.
Where you're not trying to, I guess, not scale to maybe that size or where you're mostly handling pretty much at all, right?
Yeah.
What was kind of deciding factor in either trying to chase or have you had much of trying to, and I don't even know this about you, like have you had anybody that's not family try to work under you as a lawyer?
Yeah, I've had that a few times where I've brought in some other attorneys and we've worked together on cases and stuff. But attorneys are pretty independent type people,
Got it.
and they like to do things their own way, and so that means they typically want to come in, learn a little bit, and then they want to do their own thing. And that's kind of what happened. I've brought a few attorneys in, and then they've decided they want to go do their own thing, which is what I did.
It's kind of the way it works, right?
It is. And I never really had an interest in wanting to build a big law firm.
Yeah.
I don't want a big box law firm. I want a smaller firm where we can get to know our clients and we can, pay a lot more attention to the individual cases.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to run a big business.
But you guys can still have quite a bit of bandwidth to take care of cases because of the time that's involved in them, right? Like you said, you kind of, obviously, you want to consistently have a flow of people coming in. You don't want them, your whole year's worth of work to come in the next week. You need them to come in and stagger. But when you get them kind of in process, you can manage quite a few cases.
Oh, yeah. Actually,
Even like what we talked about, you being really close to the courthouse and stuff, that helps you just be there as much as you need and kind of go back and forth and save time there. And
right, but with a lot of good staff, you can really handle a fair amount of cases.
a good amount of cases, yeah.
Because a lot of the legwork and a lot of the background stuff can be done by staff, and then that leaves the attorney plenty of time to just focus on the legal work.
So what does your day-to-day look like then?
I like to start early, so I get up early and I go in early, and I get quite a bit of work done the first few hours of the day before the phones ring.
Yeah.
And then in terms of criminal courts, they have dockets every day in different courtrooms, and it's usually 8:30. A few cases get called and reset, or something. A plea is done. Different things happen.
It's constantly
It's constant, and then you're done 9:30, 10. Back to the office.
Yeah.
Get a few things done, and then you go back at 1:30 for some more
Interesting.
court appearances in the afternoon. And then obviously the office time and the downtime is answering phones, talking to clients, and getting ready for the next day and the next week.
Yeah.
So it's a fairly busy schedule, but we try to keep our number of cases down. So
Yeah, like obviously you want to get them completed and get justice for whatever that is for that person, or their case, right?
Hmm.
But then the flow of other cases are it's just constant dance, I guess, of
Yeah.
trying to.
And I you get a pretty good idea of how many
Yeah.
cases, and how often you're in court and looking at the schedule and stuff. And my favorite line is, "I'm as busy as I want to be," which I
Yeah.
think is important.
You have like a bandwidth amount, right? And you're like, okay, I'm about 100% of my bandwidth or 80, and then you kind of know how to balance it right there.
Yeah. Fortunately, I can decide not to take a case if I think it's just too much and timing wise.
Yeah, because you could say, hey, like we could do 3 of these types of cases, and that one's going to be this, but depending on, yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into that. And seeing if they're the right client for you, right?
Right.
Do you fit what they're hoping for? Is it realistic expectations? Can I help them with this thing? Are they going to support me within trying to help them?
Yeah, and that's really important. Is those expectations? It's important, those initial conversations. You kind of set the tone of where we think it's going to end up. And with the law, it's gray. It's not black and white. So you really have to let them know there are no guarantees. Things can happen, and judges get to make their own rulings, and
Yeah.
judges get to pass a sentence that they think is appropriate, no matter what you do. And rulings that judges make, you sometimes agree with, and sometimes you don't. And
Yeah. Ultimately, no matter what you do, they make the final decision, right?
exactly. They wear the robe and they get to decide. And some judges are, they're like anybody else. They have their own things that they feel are important and some things that are less important.
That's super interesting. I'm sure, depending on who the judges assign, and pretty much all the judges, right, at the courthouse.
Oh, yeah.
all that
And
stuff,
that's,
so.
and like you say, that's critically important. As I know all of the prosecutors, I know the district attorney, I know all the judges in our jurisdiction, and I take cases all over the state, so I know a lot of the judges and prosecutors in Denver, Teller County, Pueblo. I've been, I think, to just about every courtroom in the state in my time. So, and it's interesting. In El Paso County, where I'm at mainly, it's the busiest jurisdiction in the state. There's more cases there than anywhere else.
Really?
The Denver metro area is kind of split up.
Okay, so the numbers are probably more overall, but it's in 2 different.
Right.
I
So
see.
Denver metro, and then there's Arapahoe County, Jefferson County, and a few other, Adams County, and but so it splits up the Denver metro area.
Yeah.
But El Paso County is just El Paso County.
It's just El Paso County, and I think it's interesting. We see some of the contacts you get right at times, and it's like seems like it's busier. Monday mornings are typically after people went and had some fun over the weekend, and all of those things happen. So
That's the holiday joke is stay out of trouble because the judge won't be in until Tuesday.
until Tuesday. So if you're gonna don't do something dumb over the weekend or during the holidays, right? So
Exactly. Yes.
but it will happen. It's happening right now,
Mm-hmm.
and something could be going on right now that you're gonna get a call about later today or tomorrow. Or
Absolutely. And even on the weekends, I'll get calls and I'll get the email and I'll look and I'll give them a call back. And sometimes it's a crisis.
yeah,
It's a crisis for families.
Yeah.
If somebody gets arrested or something happens, it's a crisis.
how about I don't know how much I don't know. I'd be curious to get your take on this, like kind of bail, and like because some people don't get bailed out and some do, and then right, because so then some people stay in jail, especially depending on the severity of the case. Your client might be in jail for pretty much until they go to trial or until a resolution's
Yeah. First degree murder
Right.
charges, no bail.
no bail,
So they're arrested, they're held until the case is done.
whether that's
Yeah.
weeks, months, or years.
Yeah. And we have hearings to try to do something with that, but they're pretty much locked up until the case is resolved. The courts have a bond schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So for a certain level of charge, there's a recommended bond amount that the courts follow pretty well. If a person is a frequent flyer and they've got a lengthy criminal history, then their bond's going to get set a little bit higher. And of course, the family calls around, checks with the bonds people, and they typically will pay a 10% of whatever the bond is
Mm-hmm.
and a processing fee, and they can post the bond and get out. But it's difficult. A lot of people they can't afford a bond.
So a lot of what you're already in motion before they're ever even bonded out, if ever, right?
Oh, yeah.
But like that's why it's a lot of the time the family reaching out to you because they've said, hey,
They've been arrested, and there are a lot of charges that are no bond initially,
mm-hmm.
and then you're in front of the judge the next day, and then the judge sets the bond that day, what they think is appropriate, and then the person can get bonded out. There's PR bonds that the judges can give, where the person doesn't have to pay anything. But yeah, there's a lot of folks that just get locked up. They have no bond, they have no money, they have no help. So we have our public defender system, which is hugely important.
Yeah.
And those attorneys are handling a lot of cases.
And yeah, when you say public defenders, that's right. Like when you get appointed a public defender, if you can afford one,
Right.
right? Or I don't know what would be the other choices why you would end up with a public defender other than
If you're in custody and you can't bond out, you automatically get a public defender. The state appoints an attorney to you.
yeah, that's like part of your rights or
Right.
whatever.
It is. It's part of your rights, and so you get an attorney, and those folks work very hard. Public defender's office is the biggest defense law firm in the state, obviously.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so they have a lot of resources and a lot of attorneys, but their caseload is huge.
How are those funded?
State
Yeah, just state funds.
state budget.
Interesting.
Yep. And then if there's a conflict with public defender, there's alternate defense counsel. And so those attorneys get appointed. I did that for a number of years. And so it's court appointed work, and you help a lot of people that way, and you help to take a little bit of the burden off the public defenders. But that's a thankless job. They work very hard, and they do a very good job, and
they learn a lot.
And they
see a
just
lot of
don't get a
cases.
lot of respect.
Yeah.
And they should.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe that's a good point to talk on is, a lot of people, I think, hire a lawyer or get somebody that's done a lot more than that. Don't use a public defender. If you have the money, go get a XYZ
Private
lawyer,
attorney,
like
yeah.
a private, right? Like, what's your take on that, or what's some of your thoughts on?
Well, I mean, if you can afford a private attorney, that's probably better, because a private attorney like me, we have less cases.
Yeah.
And so
You have more time to concentrate.
we have more
on
time to work on their cases, and we can usually provide the resources as well. And it's a little bit more intimate, a little bit more one-on-one, and you can put more time into it. The public defenders are doing the best they can with 100 or 200 clients at any given time, and they're in the courtroom almost every day working on their cases, and it's difficult. It really is.
Yeah. So if you have a trickier case, that's where it really makes sense to, or
Right.
really any case at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think just having, I guess when you're paying for that attention, you're also paying for a better partner and more support within that time.
Right.
Or somebody that really, I don't want to say cares more, but they have more time to care.
Right. We have more time to look at the cases and spend with the clients and really get to know what's going on and work for them. The public defenders, it's just difficult. I mean, they're overworked and underpaid. It's government work, and it's difficult. And there's some very good attorneys in those offices.
Well, I mean, they're getting more practice than
Battle
anybody
tested.
else.
Battle tested. Some of the best attorneys I've known over the years have been public defenders, and they've committed their careers to doing that.
Do they make a
wonderful.
pretty good salary as that?
They do now.
Yeah.
When I first started out, the salaries were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, they really were.
Yeah.
They were very, very difficult. If you had a family, it was very difficult, and
Mhm.
a lot of people would go in the public defenders or the DA's office, spend a little bit of time, and then they'd leave because it was very difficult.
Just to even make a living doing it.
And insurance benefits were very good if you had a family. Those are all important things.
Yeah.
It's much better now.
Yeah.
They make a decent salary now.
And that's state by state though, right? Like, so being
Yeah,
a public,
states are different.
yeah, and counties even, or is that
No, the counties are all pretty much the same.
okay?
There's a little bit of difference in pay depending on the county, but not much.
Or for the most part the same. So if you're into that same umbrella, it's kind of pretty equal across the
Right.
board. Interesting.
It's better to be a public defender in a smaller jurisdiction or a DA because you handle fewer cases.
Just supply and demand of.
Yeah. Like you walk into El Paso County and you go into a courtroom on any given morning and it's just packed, and people in the hallways, and it's a lot. You go into a smaller jurisdiction, even Pueblo, and there may be a dozen people in a big courtroom and pretty quiet.
Yeah, nothing like
No, nothing like El Paso County.
Especially the metropolitan districts and like
Yeah.
El Paso and stuff like that. Yeah, that's interesting. Are they constantly looking to hire more?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of turnover.
So there's always like a demand for.
Yeah, I'll have some cases in county court starting out, and I may go through 3 or 4 different prosecutors in a few months.
Mm.
So,
So you're seeing it yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, where'd that person go? They're like,
it's like, oh, new DA,
wow.
start over.
Yeah, that brings a whole nother aspect to your
It does.
to your job.
It does.
Yeah, I'm sure, like that's kind of like you're kind of building relationships in what you do, but like you have to go off the facts. You have to be pretty non-emotional to it. But then, like you said, different judges.
There's a lot to know.
Different, yeah.
There's a lot.
And who's on the other side of the case too,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Who the prosecutor is, and they're all a little bit different. There's no conformity. Everybody gets to make their own decisions, and certain cases will affect a prosecutor in a different way. They may have some personal experiences that they don't like that kind of thing, and so they take a little bit different approach.
Is there any cases you kind of mentioned like OJ? Is there any high level cases, or not even maybe just real niche cases that you didn't work on, but that like kind of sticks out in your mind that you like got really into or you thought a lot about?
There have been over the years, I'm sure. A case will come in and it's kind of interesting, fascinating, different set of facts. And so you pay attention to it and you get involved in it a little bit and watch it and listen to it and see how it's handled and things. But it's just one after another. So
just every day's a new day, right?
I mean, I've had some interesting cases over the years. Some of the split personality type cases are fascinating.
Yeah.
They're real.
Yeah.
I've helped the client in the courtroom and talked to them and met with them, and then, an hour later you get a call from the client, but it's a different personality telling you
totally different side of it.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah.
To see someone who has multiple personalities
in a real,
and
then trying to help that.
Yeah.
Or I guess on your side, not justify it, but like in helping them, trying to like
that's
explain
where you bring
that
in,
for
that's
them,
where
I
you
guess,
bring in the psychiatrists and the medical field, and you bring in all of that from life. You need experts to deal with that because criminal cases involve a lot of different aspects of life.
So is that kind of where you're saying even front-siding at some of that stuff, getting them evaluated, getting people, doing the due diligence to help explain their case or why...
Right, trying to understand why this happened.
Why it happened, especially when they're not clear on what they did or...
Yeah, like we've talked before, the mental state of a criminal case is one element of it, but it's critical. The mental state can make the difference between first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and the same with other levels of cases. And so obviously then when you add in the mental health component where they really don't understand or they're not aware of what they've done, then you got to get the experts involved.
And that's probably hard, right? Because some people say they have those issues and they might not actually have those issues. And then some people actually have those issues. So trying to prove that, make it factual.
Right. And you got to get the experts involved, which very often we have a lot of different experts in the different types of cases, financial experts, domestic violence experts, sexual assault experts.
And then who pays for like those things?
In private cases, the client pays for those.
Yeah.
In public defender system and the state system, then their office pays for it. The state.
Yeah.
The taxpayer.
The taxpayer.
The taxpayer, yeah.
How have you seen some of that affect, like taxes and different things in the state? Have you seen that affect the system much?
I don't pay a lot of attention to that. I know that it's always a budget war.
Yeah.
Trying to have enough money to fund the system because there's a lot of clients, a lot of folks that just can't afford the defense that they need.
Yeah. That's hard.
Yeah. It's difficult.
At that moment's notice, they're either family members helping fund it, or there's probably loans or second mortgages or whatever.
Families come together and do whatever they can to help, obviously. like anything, any
Yeah.
crisis, the family comes together and helps. And a lot of states are different. I mean, there's some states that they just don't want to fund counsel for defendants. And
Mm.
it's too bad.
Yeah. So would you say Colorado's in a decent place?
Yeah.
In
Colorado does a pretty good job.
just pretty good compared to some
Yeah.
other states.
Oh yeah, compared to other states, they do a really good job, I
Yeah.
think.
So let's go back. You said you wake up pretty early and you go in. Do you have any daily routines or things that you do every day?
Oh no, it's pretty much the same. I mean, I just go in and I sit down and I'll take a look at all the cases that I have, review everything, kind of refresh.
Yeah. But even outside of that, like, do you drink a smoothie for breakfast? Do you eat an actual breakfast? Do you have any
Coffee.
sort of just coffee, huh?
Coffee and a light breakfast, and then I very often don't eat lunch.
Yeah.
And then
Because you're right in the middle of
I'm
everything
right in
at
the
that
middle of
point.
everything, and I
Yeah.
just don't. And then a nice dinner usually.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Keep it pretty simple, huh?
Pretty simple.
How about on the weekends or I mean for you, right, it's hard to check out. Like
It is hard to check out, but try to do as much as I can on the weekends just to get away from it if I can.
yeah. What's David like to do on the weekends?
I like to go hiking, things like
Yeah.
that.
Be outside.
Yeah, be outside. I like the outdoors quite a
Be
bit.
away from four walls that your
Yes,
courtrooms is
quiet time.
less talking,
Mm,
less commotion.
Yes, I like a very quiet, private life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about that? All right, like you're public in marketing and being like trying to be known and have people come to you, but at the same
Mhm.
time, because of all the cases and things you've been in, you also try to be fairly private, right? Like this kind of interesting.
It is an odd dynamic because, as an attorney, you have to be on. And of course, people get terrified to go into a courtroom,
Right.
and especially if they have to say something. But as an attorney, you've got to be prepared. You've got to be ready. You've got to know what you're doing. And then you do have to talk and you have to make arguments, and you're in front of everybody and the microphones are there and it's all being recorded and
Yeah.
it's being transcribed. So
Being judged
so
by everybody.
literally by the judge. And you have to be on, and you have to be
Yeah.
mentally prepared, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And so, yes, then when I'm not in the courtroom or on a weekend or an evening, I like to check out and I just
Woofsaw.
enjoy the hot tub a lot.
Yeah. Have you
a glass
done,
of wine or something like that. And but yes, you just got to kind of break away from it to
Yeah.
have some peace.
Yeah.
Because, and I was talking with some folks the other day, the court system is in a very negative environment. It really is.
Yeah.
It's conflict.
Nobody wants to be there, right? Like
It's conflict. That's the
Yeah.
only reason everyone is there is because there's conflict.
there's an issue.
Whether it's civil or criminal or what. I think the only wonderful thing that happens in the courthouse is an adoption.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you can always tell when the adoptions are happening because you can see the people coming through the courthouse. Very different. They've got balloons and teddy bears, and
Like what's
they're all
going
very
on here?
happy.
Yeah.
And a little group
They
of
move completely different from everybody else.
completely different. And it's nice to see. I always stop and watch.
Yeah.
It's nice, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
It's a bring a little bright to the.
it's a very taxing, heavy environment
Yeah.
for everybody. Even the staff at the courthouse, they work, and
From the
all-
person checking your bags as you walk in the door to.
to the court clerks, to everybody. They
Everybody.
deal with all of it. And the judges. I mean, they have to make some pretty important decisions.
Yeah.
And they're on too. They're up there. Everyone's watching them. And they're hearing arguments from conflict
Yeah.
and different sides and viewpoints. And then they have to make that decision.
It's got to be pretty difficult, right? Because, like, unless it's pretty black and white, which you say it's very gray, so it's not very often that it's black and white,
Mhm.
no matter what decision they make, somebody's going to be happy with it, and some people are not going to be, and a lot of people might be
Exactly.
halfway.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's often people leave and nobody's happy. Because
And-
everybody goes in with their perspective and their point of view and their argument.
From both sides, too much, not enough.
Hmm.
So yeah, because if whatever you decide, one side is going to be probably happier than the other.
Yeah.
And same with like your job, like
Mhm.
either way, they're going to be hopefully more happy. But that one's almost hard. It's almost setting yourself up for, unrealistic expectation all the time. But that's why
Yeah.
you navigate it initially.
Yeah.
But like nobody wants to hear that either. That says like,
No.
hey, we probably won't get it to where you want. Like,
It's just a very heavy environment.
yeah, like a lot of mental.
Hmm.
In different cases, drugs and then DUIs and those types of things, what do you see a lot of? Like, what's kind of some of the cases you see a bunch of?
We do a lot of domestic violence cases, which are obviously relationships
Yeah.
and the dynamics of relationships, and those can get pretty heated, and people get very, very emotional, obviously,
Yeah.
because that's the relationship. And the thing about those is it's an intimate setting, and there's an argument or some kind of conflict, and then the next thing they know, it's in a courtroom, and it's on public display.
Passion, love, turns
All of it.
like
Decisions
the microscope.
decisions that were made, things that were said. It's airing out the dirty laundry in a courtroom,
And all of that
in
comes
public,
out.
especially in a trial.
Yeah.
All of that stuff comes out.
That's an interesting dynamic too, because when you say like sometimes the family reaches out for help, like they're
Mhm.
all family in a lot of those
Yeah,
situations.
and they're emotionally invested.
Yeah.
They're taking sides often, and those are the kind of conflicts that can get very stressful.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people just don't realize, once the police are called, their lives are under the spotlight. And what they think ought to happen and what they believe the court system accomplishes and does
Mm-hmm.
is often very far from the truth. What people think are going to happen going through the court system for an outcome or result just doesn't happen.
Mm. So those are very, very difficult cases.
They are. They're very difficult.
And you see a lot of them.
Right. And the DUI cases, I mean, I've seen somebody had an extra glass of wine or two and they decided to drive and they shouldn't have and they really regret it. And it's a
Mhm.
problem on a DUI. And then I've had cases with 8 or 9. It's their 8th or 9th time.
Yeah.
And up until a few years ago, there were no felony DUIs in Colorado.
Mm.
And of course, they changed that. So now a 4th offense or
Turns
more
into.
is a felony. And they're looking at prison.
Is there like, but also I guess the thing is if their first DUI, but if they wrecked or hurt somebody, that could turn into
Oh,
a
yeah.
felony DUI. But it's not. It's mostly because they hurt somebody more than the DUI itself, right?
So what happens is there's not only the DUI charge, but then there's a vehicular assault or
Which
a,
then turns into the felony.
or
Which
a
then,
vehicular homicide, and those are all felony level
yeah.
charges. But
And I think that's what was interesting learning some more, and I still know very minimal, but the levels of all the different cases, right? Like
Mhm.
if this, then that, like right, like on DUIs it's a certain amount or whatever. But then like that, like if they hurt somebody or something, that's a whole thing. Domestic violence, there's probably certain things that turn into felony or not, right?
yes,
Like at certain levels of things happening.
there are. Like all the cases, there's misdemeanor level,
Yeah.
and the maximum punishments on those are a time in jail, in the
Yeah.
county jail. And then the felony level stuff, that's prison level. So that's where someone could go off to prison for a length of period of time.
Yeah.
And there are 6 levels of felonies. There's the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 being the worst.
Worst, yeah.
And each one has a range of potential prison sentence. And then the misdemeanor level, there's 3,
Mm-hmm.
and those each have a range of county jail time.
So
and
with one being the worst in misdemeanor too.
correct.
So like a 1 misdemeanor or a 6 felony,
They're the next.
they're very similar.
Yes,
Just a
very
few
similar.
little caveats there that could make
Yes.
it one or the other.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yep. And of course, the legislature decides all of that, and what the sentencing is going to be. Some of the sentencings are mandatory, where the judge doesn't really have a choice; they have to impose a jail sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Domestic violence requires certain classes, very specific to that type of offense. DUI, obviously, certain specific classes. Sex cases, very specific treatment programs, registration. There's all sorts of things depending on the case, on the type of the charge. But I see a lot of domestic violence cases. Those are very difficult. The DUI cases are difficult. But the felony stuff is where it really gets important.
With some of the things like marijuana and things that were, you know, charges on depending on what's going on, and now it wouldn't be, or like Colorado recently had like the whole like legalizing prostitution thing, which is like on the sex side of things. Like, how crazy is that? Or when like those things come up, what's like in your head when you hear things like that? Because it's kind of crazy.
I mean, it's an interesting thing that the legislature is looking at. Obviously, I understand what they're kind of trying to do. They want to legalize things, then they have a little bit more control over it, which makes some sense. But
But
it's a little different. I don't think a lot of people are ready for that.
Right.
The legalization of marijuana was an important step, and I think it was a good step because it took a drug that most police officers would agree they never went to a violent crime scene with folks that were smoking marijuana.
Right.
But it also has its own issues.
But then there's an amount of, right? Yeah.
Correct. And people need to realize that, you can smoke marijuana, but you can't smoke marijuana and drive.
Right. Which then opens it up more.
Because that opens up problems as well. So something that seems harmless can be very dangerous.
Well, and in a DUI thing, right? I think that's been an interesting thing because liquor and those things are testable, and like I mean marijuana I believe is now to a point, but like it's a lot different from alcohol.
Right. It's very different.
Yeah.
Because a person with marijuana can have marijuana in their system at a certain level
for a long time,
and the effects of having that in their system are really minimized over time.
Yeah.
A person smoke marijuana or eat an edible for the first time, that's going to have a real visible effect on them. Someone that has a tolerance to it can do the same thing and you wouldn't even know.
Right.
So I think the legalization of marijuana created a whole new industry and whole new crimes and all sorts of things with it.
So as much as you've done, there's always the new things that you have to like learn to navigate, because those become caveats of your cases.
Yes.
And different things, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that part would be part's interesting, especially when they're like, this used to be legal, now it's legal, and then like, or how does that change from what becomes now a felony or what's a misdemeanor, or all those things.
Yeah, and over time it changes. One of the things that I think has happened that's pretty good is they had the Clean Slate Act. They passed the Clean Slate Act, and it helps to seal records on old offenses. So lots of folks will, say they might get in trouble in their 20s and have a serious issue, and they may even gone to prison for it. But then they get out and they actually rehabilitate. They do what we want them to do.
Yeah.
But yet that felony conviction follows them and haunts them for the rest of their lives, trying to, advance in a company that they're in or in their career or things like that. And that's been a real problem.
Yeah.
But Colorado's been pretty good over the years, almost, I'd say pretty consistently every 2 to 3 years, they add a whole new category of cases that can be sealed. And when we say, an adult case, when it's sealed, it's not destroyed. What happens is law enforcement still has access to it, but a general background search by an employer renting an apartment or something like that, they won't see it. And so that helps a lot of people. It really does.
Because enough time's gone by.
Right.
If they've done anything else, it wouldn't be able to be sealed.
Correct.
But
so that's been very helpful. I think that's been a real positive change in the law for folks.
It's interesting.
And there's some cases that you just can't seal, and there's reasons for it. And the general public still wants to know.
Yeah. That's an interesting one, and you don't do You don't try to help people get their records sealed, or like through your probably your clients, or that just happens over time.
We used to
Yeah,
have to file a petition, and people would hire us to go and try to get that done.
yeah.
And we'd have a hearing and make an argument as to why it should be, and the DA's office would say why it
It
shouldn't,
was a full
and then a
process.
judge would decide. Now, most of it's automatic.
Interesting.
If it is in a category that's entitled to be sealed, then it's an automatic thing.
Mm.
And right now, CBI, once they get the order from the judge to seal the case, then what happens is if a background check is done, but it's under order to seal, they can't release any information on it, so the background check comes back clean. But right now, they're trying to process through about 450,000 cases,
Holy smoke.
and they're backlogged, significantly backlogged. It's typically a 45-day time limit to get it
Wow.
sealed, and it's taking months and months. Part of the reason, though, is the Clean Slate Act from a couple of years ago. They took huge categories of old cases,
Mm.
and they all had to be filtered. So, in other words, the district attorney's office had a certain period of time to object
You
to
almost
the
had to look
sealing.
back at all of the.
Yes,
Holy cow.
and so they've processed. I don't know how many,
Yeah.
but I know right now they've got a backlog of about 450,000. I just read an article
Holy
on it.
smokes.
Um,
That's crazy.
but I think that was a real positive change for people.
So what do you think, like, kind of on the backside of the business thing, and like how important do you think it is for people to do background checks before hiring an employee, and looking at some of that stuff?
I mean, I think it's important for them to see if there's something there.
Yeah.
They should have that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I always say you should have the knowledge, and then what you do with it is your decision. But I think you should have the knowledge.
Yeah.
So if it's there, I think it's good for them to know. But a lot of employers have a policy, you know, if there's anything there, we don't touch it. I don't think that's a good policy.
Yeah. Well, because especially with like what you just mentioned, if you check it 6 months or a year later, it could not even be there, depending on how old it is, obviously, right?
Right. I've had clients who still reach out to me, and you know they're very grateful for helping them,
Yeah.
and they've completely changed their lives.
Yeah, they're out crushing it,
Families,
doing
and they're out
everything.
crushing it. They're doing fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, and you're young and dumb, and you
Things
make
happen.
mistakes,
Yeah.
and it happens. But that doesn't mean you can't change everything, turn around,
Yeah.
and you ought to be given that opportunity, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Yeah. No, and I think that's where it's, you know, where you're at. You've seen kind of both sides. You've seen good and bad. You've seen
Mhm.
a lot of varying results in people's decisions, and how some have affected people for a really long time and some haven't. What would you like? What would be advice you'd give to somebody if they see themselves getting into trouble or starting to have to navigate finding a lawyer or whatever to try to do their best to do that because they maybe never have?
I mean, obviously, it's so hard because people don't often have that self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
when things are spiraling and when they're going down that path. It's very difficult for them to pull out of it on their own. I mean, really difficult. Even with family trying to help, it's still difficult.
Yeah.
And sometimes being arrested and being charged is a good wake-up call. And then if it's handled correctly and done right, you can get them back on the right path. And that's important for people to know. You know, it's not the end of the world,
Yeah.
but it's difficult for families and people to pull themselves out of it.
I think we see, especially today, in like body cam footage and some of that stuff too, is the pressure to, in different situations, do certain things, right?
Mhm.
Or whether you know it or not, you're being judged in the moment there's any sort of video evidence or anything like that. Even probably like a police officer writing a report or whatever, you're being judged in any moment that you're tied into something. So
Oh, it's very different now. It's very different. When I first started, obviously, we didn't have all of those things. There were no surveillance cameras, no body cams. Very few people had cell phones or recordings.
now anybody gets pulled over, it's like they could pull their cell phone out and start recording on their
Yeah.
half of it.
Every single case now has body cams,
Yeah.
most every case, and surveillance cameras are everywhere. Law enforcement will go back and they can pull surveillance cameras from homes on a street what they think a vehicle drove by. They can catch the vehicle driving by on the surveillance camera, fits the description at a certain time. Sometimes you can see the people in the car or not, but it's really unusual if I were to get a case and we didn't have video, surveillance, body cams, some type of record of what happened.
That's
Very different.
yeah. So you're constantly looking at all those things.
Mhm. Yeah, you have to.
Is there usually like a cool down period to like try to gather it all before you look at it, or you just start looking at it as soon as you can look at anything?
No, as soon as I can get everything, I just start going through it.
Yeah.
I look at the written reports, and then I look at the surveillance video and the body cams to make sure that what is in the report is what actually happened. And, because a lot of times people will write a report and it spins a little bit.
And you have a little bit of support in the office doing that,
Oh, yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much, are you kind of reviewing that together? Are you reviewing it, then some other people review it, and then you kind of come together on that, or what's that process look
It just
like?
kind of depends on the case. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of them I'll just do it all myself.
Yeah.
Other attorneys will do their stuff. Sometimes we'll say, hey, can you take a look at this and,
Mm-hmm.
kind of give me your opinion on it, what you think, and we'll collaborate on the cases.
It's such a puzzle that you're like unbuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
like,
you got to take it apart, put it back together, and see what makes sense and what doesn't.
yeah. What are some other case types that kind of stick out to you and that come your way that have their own kind of challenges or niches?
Um, it, a lot of the felony drug cases are, they're just difficult cases because you see people self-medicating. They're having troubles in their lives. They turn to drugs. Some people have had a surgery, been given a prescription, and they get addicted to drugs. And you can just see the amount of damage it does,
Yeah.
especially with fentanyl these days. People
Don't even understand.
they don't understand how potent fentanyl is. And a lot of the black market fentanyl, which is most of it, you don't know what the content is. And so you may get, they call them blues, but you may get a fentanyl pill that you bought, and it may have 10% or could have 90%, and you don't know. And that's the difference between life or death, because often take fentanyl pill and they pass.
So then on that side of it, if they find out the person that sold them the pill or who's
They
distributing
get charged
it,
with the death.
they'll get charged with it.
Whoever they got the pill from can be charged with the death, causing the death.
From drug trafficking to, in a sense, a murder case.
Yeah. And the fentanyl we're seeing a lot of it, but people passed out behind the wheel at a stoplight. And the officer knocks on the window, and there's usually drugs and on the seat and a gun, and they're passed out. I mean, it has that
right
much
there.
of an effect on them. Yeah.
And then that's where if you have to start there and work it backwards, you're like, how did we end up?
How did we end up here? What do we need to do? Because it's a very difficult addiction to get away from. It's like heroin. Heroin was so addictive.
Extremely addictive. Yeah.
And of course, that was popular 15, 20 years ago, and then a little less. Then methamphetamine came on the scene, and cocaine before that, and then now fentanyl is the drug of choice. And I think those are difficult cases because you can see how much damage it causes to people and families and death.
And the hard part is even if you can help them and get them on the right track, it's still difficult to hope they stay going in that direction, right?
Yeah. And then the most significant cases I think I've dealt with over the years, and the one that will always leave a lasting impression, are the mental health cases.
Yeah.
It's just what the human mind is it's fascinating and terrifying. When someone is schizophrenic, bipolar, they're just a different person. And even the family will say, we don't recognize this. This isn't who our son or daughter was.
But a lot of people on the outside or on the other side of whatever happens want to say it's not real.
No, they only see the crime and the person that did it, but they don't really get to see what's going on with that person and why. And a lot of schizophrenia, it doesn't manifest often until late high school into the college years. And you'll start seeing signs of it, and the paranoia and the delusions and those kinds of things. And that's difficult for families. It's almost like a dementia. They just don't recognize that person.
The person's completely different.
Completely different, and they're
That is
doing
not the
very
same
bizarre
person.
things, saying very bizarre things, and they do bizarre things, and they get themselves charged with crimes.
Yeah.
And then the criminal justice system didn't always handle mental health cases in the beginning. They just lock them up.
I think we're seeing some backlash in different areas of the country where some of
Mhm.
these mental health cases first got charged, they got let go. I think just the other day I saw something of another one of those where like the lady had hurt her family or hurt her dad or something, and then like she had a knife and was going after a kid in a shopping cart or something like that.
Yeah, I just saw that.
And that's like, like everybody's gonna look at that and be like, well, they already were charged. Well, they charged, they did their thing, but they still like
Hmm.
just like went back to drugs. They went back to being that or
And the
switched or whatever.
and the problem is now the system is adapting a little bit better, and they'll do a competency evaluation um, to determine whether or not they can even assist in their own defense.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a restoration process with treatment, medications, and so forth to get them back on track. And then you can determine what's going to be the next best step. And then in some cases, you take a look at when the crime happened, the severity of the crime, and whether they were insane at the time or not. And then a lot of times, like we talked about, sometimes it's an opportunity. They get charged, you recognize the problem, you can get help, medications, get them on track, and get them out of the criminal system.
A lot of denial up until something major happens enough to say,
Right. And then they're on medications. And then the key after that is, can you keep them on their medications? Because very often folks with a mental health issue take their medications, they feel great, and then they decide that they don't need them anymore. As soon as they quit taking them, they fall right back into that
and then
problem.
that's where you start having to try to like defend repeat offenders.
Right. And but the impact on the family is just horrific.
Yeah,
You know,
they
it's
want nothing more than to just
it's almost worse than dealing with an alcoholic in the family or a drug addict. The mental health issues are even more difficult,
yeah.
and they just don't know who they're going to be dealing with, and that's a relative, a son or a daughter, and it's just really difficult.
Do you think as a society we're seeing more and more mental health issues, or we're just becoming more aware of the different mental health
I think we're
issues?
becoming more aware of it. I think it's always been there.
Yeah,
We're just becoming more aware of it, more knowledgeable about it, and trying to do something about it.
mm-hmm.
I hope. But those medications are expensive, and people don't have insurance, and it's just a mess.
Yeah,
Quite frankly.
yeah. So that's really hard for you to like. You're doing everything you can, but there is actually no true perfect fix for some of it. But
Right.
like, because it's constantly evolving, or medications, or treatments, or different things like that. So society, that's why we're getting more knowledgeable and better about it. But tomorrow something new can come up, and you just don't
But
know
it's
why.
something that needs to be addressed. I mean, I think a significant percentage of the homeless population has mental health issues,
Yeah,
and that makes people very uncomfortable. And people get uncomfortable, and for a lot of people, it's easy just to throw them away.
yeah,
And we shouldn't be doing that. We should be trying to help them with medications and so forth. But you walk down the street and might be a homeless person, and they're screaming and yelling and talking. And the truth be told, they may be schizophrenic, and some medication. Perfectly perfect.
yeah.
They're perfectly normal with the medication and wonderful and nice people.
Yeah, but then like if they can't afford the medication or don't even have the ability to get to it or try a medication to help them, that's just like not lost cause, but unless we
It's
can get them help, that's
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just you just hate to see it.
And like so that's where you can kind of see that, even
Hmm.
though you're helping people that may more have money to like hire you and stuff, but you see those things flow through to those
Right,
situations.
and it's like everything else in life. It
Yeah,
comes down to money.
yeah,
If the family has money and they can help, then that person has a much greater odds of making it through. But a lot of people, they get arrested, they get locked up, they get some treatment while they're in, and then they're just back out on the street, and then it just starts to unravel again.
yeah.
It's a cycle.
Where do you see some of that like fork in the road for a lot of people that get into trouble and then get out, like what's some of the best decisions or reasons or things you see them do that helps them get on a better path than falling back into the same path?
It's probably just resources, having access to resources. Whether
Support,
support, whether it's mental health care or a place to live or
family,
job, family,
anything. Yeah.
all of those things.
Like every 1 ounce or piece of positive in their life compared to the next negative. If you,
Right.
you just keep diverting positive, they usually can get out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just difficult.
It's hard. Yeah. And they're already in a hard place, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's some heavy stuff that you gotta.
Well, it does.
You gotta deal with.
It's all aspects of life that you deal with as an attorney, or at
Yeah.
least criminal defense attorney.
You're helping a lot of people.
Trying.
Yeah.
You try. You know,
That's all you can do though, right? Is
you
just
pull them
try
out of the
and-
river and see what you can do to help them,
Yeah.
and try to make sure they don't go back in.
Yeah. And yeah, that's where, like you said, like it's factual. You're doing what you can, but then it's hard to not get emotional. Like I assume like having repeat clients,
Mhm.
you're like, man, we've tried to get through this. We've done this, or now it's going to be even more difficult because, it happened again.
Yep.
You can't say it was a once oops type thing.
No. And
And we'll never do it again because
Right.
now we did it again. Crazy.
No, every client I have when they leave, I always say, stay out of trouble. A lot of them do.
I hope I never hear from you again.
And some of them are, oh, Mr. Foley, I'm so sorry. I understand.
Yeah. Not the
Never.
first time, not the last time,
But I think as the attorney, you just can't get on that roller coaster.
yeah,
You just can't.
that's yeah.
It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help
No, and it doesn't. Right, and that's where you're like you just kind of like it is that simple. Like just
Mhm.
stay out of trouble. But if not, I will be here
you. And we'll do our best.
and we'll do our best. And then the next time I stay out of trouble again, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll be here and we'll do your best. I think also one of the things that you always say, right, is if you get in trouble, don't say anything until you.
Don't say anything. No, and it's interesting. I mean, we're born and raised. You just tell the truth. It'll set you free, and you cooperate and do everything, and we'll work through it. And you don't get rewards in the criminal justice system for those things. You really don't. Your best route is to not say a word.
That's like uncomfortable for you to even kind of say, huh?
It
like,
is. It
because you're
is.
like throughout your life you've been told this thing.
Mhm. And law enforcement has their job, and that's to, make the arrest, and then the prosecutor prosecutes the case, and you're just helping them. And sometimes they're forgiving and nice, and it works out well, and other times they're not. And so it's always best to not say anything, get an attorney. You can always make statements. You can always do things later, but it's on your time, and you're in control of it.
I think that's a hard one, and I think like it just happened right with Tiger Woods and the potential DUI, but he didn't or whatever, and he didn't say anything. I need my attorney. Height of height, he has an attorney, probably on retainer or whatever, and that's a weird spot because if you like in a DUI case or whatever, if you say no, you're auto charged in a sense, and now you
Yeah.
have to undo
Mhm.
the charge, but in a way, it's the better route too
It
on
is.
certain things too, right? So it's like and that's all pretty much any type of felony case or anything, right? It's just trying to stay quiet, cooperate within whatever means to not make the situation probably worse. As far as like,
And-
if you're gonna get put in a cop car, don't like try to run away or like you
Right.
kind of have to do what you have to do, but
And most of the law enforcement officers, they know.
yeah,
They know what's going on, and I know a lot of the detectives, and we'll have our conversation. They're like, yeah, I know the game, and I understand. We're not making any statements now. We'll do our thing, you do your thing, and it's a mutual respect.
it's just that, right?
It's just that they know, I know, and we don't, we know what we're doing, and it's kind of an odd dynamic. But if they can get someone to talk and convict themselves, that's great for them.
it makes
They put a bow
their
on it.
job a
and
lot easier.
It's done.
Hey, I did it.
So yeah, it's counterintuitive. The way we're raised is to cooperate fully, tell the truth. It'll set you free. But as a defense attorney, that
Sometimes not.
makes it very difficult.
That's we'll leave you guys with that one. That one's a pretty soak on that one for a little bit. Huh?
Yep.
Think about that.
Yeah,
But,
process that one.
David, I appreciate you coming down. Obviously, at the end, if you'd like to tell the camera that if anybody gets in trouble in El Paso County or in Colorado in general, where they could reach out or come find you or whatever, if they might need your help one day.
Yeah, just give us a call at Foley Law Firm, www.davidfoley.net or 719-757-1182. Just give us a call. We're happy to help.
That's what David does. That's a little look into David's life and what he does every day. And,
Yep.
And all of those things. Well, I'm glad you're doing that, and I'm doing what I do for a living. And I always think that I could do well with arguing and some of those different things as if I were to ever have been a lawyer. But I don't know. But there's different versions of it and all those things. So you always wonder. I wonder what if I would have done something like that.
In a way, it's like most jobs. There's good days and bad days.
You've chosen the path, and
that's right. You're on the path.
Do the best job you can do with it.
That's exactly right.
I do think actually one last thing. For somebody that's in a career like what you were doing with UPS, and then just kind of making a total pivot out. If somebody's on the fence about that, what's your thoughts on that?
Make the change.
Just change it. Huh?
Yeah,
if you don't love what you're doing, just
if you don't like what you're doing, find something you like to do.
I guess
Life's too short.
I did forget to ask in business and or life, but maybe that kind of sums it up. What would be your advice to not suck? Since this is the Don't Suck podcast.
No, you just got to do what. It's funny. People, they find something that they really like. It's not a job, and the older I get, and the more I've done, I think the more that rings true.
Yeah.
Find something you like and do it.
Yeah, you can tell you're pretty, like you said, pretty simple life as far as you're content with just doing what you do. You love it. Then you get to check out a little bit when you can. And
that's exactly right. I really enjoy some peace and quiet.
Kind of in the groove. Yeah, I'm sure. A lot of talking. And then sometimes it's nice just not to talk.
Silence is wonderful.
Do you listen to any podcasts or music or anything like that? What do you?
I do listen to a lot of music.
Yeah.
All types of music. I really enjoy music. Music kind of takes you out of a feeling or an emotion pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It's surprising, but yes.
So that helps you kind of reset
magical.
a little bit.
Yeah. Helps you reset.
What kind of music?
All types of music.
All of it.
I love it.
Yeah, just put it
I
on.
love all of it.
Yeah. I'm kind of that person. They're like, what genre? I'm like, top 40,
Nope,
whatever's
like
going on now.
Depends on the mood.
Yeah.
I like it all. I don't do a lot of reading because I read all the time with cases. So I don't, when I retire, I think I will
read more.
Yeah. Still trying to get through Ulysses.
Mm-hmm. I need to try to read more. I reference a lot of stuff I've learned in books. I just never, in school, I was a terrible reader. So audiobooks are great for me. Following along with an actual book while listening to it, I think helps me understand it and get it deeper. But a lot of smart people that have done a lot, they've read a lot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, though, you're reading.
History repeats.
You're reading a lot all the time. So any shows or anything?
I like, one I'm watching now is Drive to Survive. It's about F1.
Yeah.
The
on
Formula
Netflix?
One racing. Yeah, Netflix.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
What,
I never even had any idea of that world, and Netflix did a fantastic job with it, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Love it.
Just all the different aspects of it.
Yep. I've got a tractor that I just got for the cabin, and I ordered some F1 stickers to put on it. Just because I like the show so much. And I thought it was kind of funny to put F1 stickers on my tractor.
Hey, it's having fun, right?
Yeah, just having fun.
No, I think that's what...
simple little things now.
I found a lot of that really interesting with the F1 and how it wasn't doing well, and then a media company kind of bought them and totally revamped the whole thing.
It's amazing.
How many new F1 fans are there because they made that show about it? So now people are deep, watch the show, and now you're a lifelong fan of F1 where you might not have been cared about it at all.
I had no idea. Never paid attention to it at all.
Are you watching F1 races now?
Yeah.
See, so now
on
you're
Apple
tuning
TV.
on the live broadcast.
It's on Apple TV, yeah.
Well,
a few of them are canceled right now with the things happening in the world, but it's fantastic.
The things happening in the world. Got any takes on that?
It's a mess right now. It's too many people on the planet.
It's a lot going on.
There's a biologist, he just passed, and I think he said in order for mankind to survive in the environment we're in right now, it would take 5 planets,
Hmm.
which I thought was fascinating.
That's a mind.
Yeah.
It's a mind boggle right there
It
too.
is, that's a-
Like what does that really mean?
Mhm.
But you can see moments, right, where that will play out. And
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know where it'll all play out. It's pretty crazy
it
right
won't be
now.
around. Hopefully, as long as we live a good long life here, we're good.
Yep.
And in the future, who knows? Like, you guys might be watching this in 100 years from now, and who knows what the heck
Yeah.
happened. But
Be laughing about it.
they had no idea what was going on.
Uh,
Cool, David. Well, I appreciate you coming down and having
my
a talk
pleasure.
with me.
Thank you
It's
very
been great.
much.
Thank you.
All right.